planning board membership. So I believe over the course of the last couple of weeks, there was a flurry of emails, and then contained in the emails were, I believe, all the information you have at your desk. So, Mr. Morris, you want to start, and then
A little bit. This was a discussion brought up last meeting. As you said, there were a couple emails passed just showing what the statutes say. I didn't bring mine in here, but 673, I think it's 2, states the different structures. There's one is cities under that policy that has the mayor making a lot of these appointments, and then 1A says it's how cities with city managers may use people. In 2008, the council went through these two options with the guidance of Jane Taylor, and they had decided to go through what they called option 1, which was adopting 673-2 number 1 as how they were going to run the planning commission. We've been doing that ever since. Last year in the legislative session, 673-7 passed, which said one elected, or one person appointed or elected by the council can be on the planning commission. Talking with Jane Taylor this last week, we agreed that per the RSA, the mayor sits on that as a statutory appointment, and that leaves one elected or city council member that can be appointed to that commission. And then the question was the alternate seats. Currently, we have one alternate seat. There's some discussion of whether we could have a second to fill that mayor slot or not, since it's an appointed seat. But with that, I just wanted to bring it back to the council for discussion.
Counselor, I think
He was first.
Counselor Gillespie.
I went back through emails and I sent it to the city manager, and I have a couple copies here. I just want to make sure that we have this structured correctly. I think that there should be one council seat, even if that's the mayor, and then the alternate, because on October 31st of 2019, the planning office sent our request to New Hampshire Municipal to try to clarify. And I have that here, and I have a copy for everyone. But the question was, City Councilor Nick Kolosky would like to know if he can sit for the mayor at planning board meetings. And then it says, I'm currently sitting in A5, which is labeled City Councilor Alternate. And then it says planning board, it highlights that RSA. The note that New Hampshire Municipal replied, it said, after checking your charter, it appears to designate the mayor as the city councilor. As a consequence, it would appear to be that this case, for the purposes of Claremont, the mayor is a city council member under RSA 6311. So that being said, I'm wondering if our charter negates that and just makes the mayor seat the city council versus what Jane Taylor's saying that it. I just wanted clarification on that, because I think that it's one council seat. Like I said, even if that's the mayor's seat, I think it's one and an alternate.
It says one person elected or appointed to the planning commission. So, I mean, it can be up for debate, but.
Counselor Mattow?
Yes, I kind of opened this can of worms after our last.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You had actually recommended that I go and look at the statute, so I did. And reading it, I read the first top part of it that says the mayor is ex officio. You put a city council person on, one city council person, and you read down through. But then I went to the next section of that RSA, which is RSA 673-2, and it says, in cities with a city council, city manager form of government, the planning board may consist of, and it's the city manager, and then one local person from the council. So I said, okay, so there appears to be a little bit of ambiguity here in this. So I went the next step and requested a legal opinion from NHMA, which we were told in orientation we could do. So the legal opinion I got back from NHMA says, if Claremont falls under this category, meaning the category of in cities with city council or city manager form of government, which we do, then it would appear that the 9-member board should consist of the city manager, members of the city council, a member of the city council, and 7 persons filling the other slots. He further clarified that 673.7, where it talks about only one member of the governing body can sit on the planning board. He said, so only one member may also be a city councilor, which is already provided in section 1A, which talks about in cities with a city councilor. So I went back and read the minutes that were from 2008, and Jane Taylor had mentioned that in her research, she felt that the city had been past practice of doing the mayor as the ex officio member, but that's not accurate, because when I worked in the planning office, the city manager was actually ex officio. So at some point between the early 90s and 2008, or shortly before that, it morphed into what it is now. But I think this board can, if they so choose, abide by what I think is the correct statute, which talks about a city manager form of government, that it's a city manager as ex officio and one city council person. And the reason I'm personally in favor of that is that the planning board is a very powerful board in the city. And as the CEO of our city, the city manager, in my opinion, should sit on that board. And the reason I'm also not in favor of the mayor sitting on that board as a voting member is the mayor is the appointing official. So for her to be able to appoint everyone on the board and also have a vote, I think is too much power for one person. So I'm in favor of using the statute as NHMA has said we should use, and that would be the city manager's ex officio. I don't know how everyone else feels about it.
I just wanted to ask briefly, does anybody want a copy of this email from the planning office? And
Yeah, that'd be helpful since we
Right,
have the
I'll
others.
pass them down.
Councilor Ahern?
So, I'm trying to trade. It's been a long day, but, so, I also read the RSA, and I'm kind of agreeing with Councilor Matto, is that I don't believe the council in 08 had the authority to selectively pick that one. Because if you read it, the part that says, number B here, the local legislative body, city manager form of government may establish a planning board with membership as provided in paragraph I-A, which is below, not above. I think they may have thought it was, I do the IA above, but that's not the intent, I think, as I have learned in Concord, that the legislative think they apparently know what they're doing, and they put in there exactly what they want to be done. Not always true, but it's always what I'm being told. So it was looks to my opinion to be the intent that they were talking about the below, which Councilor Matto was just referring to, which I'll end by saying is that I think that it's up to the legislative body, which is us, to decide who sits on that planning board besides the city manager. I'll leave it at that.
Mr. Morris?
I would just point out, I think the legal opinion was based on the word in the second 1A says that cities with the city manager may appoint in this way, which gave the choice of which one you wanted to do.
Yes.
And that was legal opinion.
Councilor Ahern?
Having not the legal opinion here, to question that is my first problem. And second is that I've, again, experienced time and time again when I was working for the city as an employee that Ms. Taylor has sometimes not always been correct. So I'm not going to hang my hat on saying that it's absolutely correct that this is right from her.
So, before, you've already had a chance. Counselor Contois?
So the legislation changed in August of 2019. In November of 2019, the Office of Strategic Initiative came out with a new copy of the Planning Board in New Hampshire Handbook for Local Officials. It says, under appointment and number of board members, in cities with a city manager, the planning board shall have 9 members, comprised of the city manager or designee, a member of the city council selected by the council, and 7 other persons appointed by the city manager, or as determined by the city charter or the city council. And of course, determined by the city charter, the city council talks about those 7 other persons that the city manager would appoint. So it
City
like,
I don't
it
think,
says the city manager appoints the members.
that would be interesting.
I had a question.
It doesn't,
I'll jump in. It also refers to the charter.
These are that's the opinion. This is the mayor.
This is from the Office of Strategic
it
Initiative.
doesn't fit the statute, though.
Here we go.
So, I'd like to make, Counselor Kowalski, you had something?
I forgot this part earlier, but I went to our closest neighbor, so Lebanon, to see how Lebanon's listed. And it's 13 citizen members with 2 representatives, one of those being an alternate of the city council. Citizen members are nominated by the city manager and appointed by their mayor and council for 3-year terms.
Keene is the same way.
So I want to make sure we're doing it.
Right, so you're all bringing up something that came to my mind, which is there is a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And these discussions are usually best done at the committee level. And I would recommend, because we did the exact same thing with the police commission, because if you go to our Muni code, and I didn't have my notes, but I think it's, the Muni code when it comes to the planning board goes back to 1961. And it doesn't even talk about membership, which is one of the components that should be in every part of the administrative code for any board, commission, or committee. Because we went through this with the police commission, and that generated lots of discussion at the committee level, and there were assumptions that we were going to follow RSA 105, but no, we don't follow RSA 105, because there were all of these legislative acts that were done prior to our charter, so it fell into that. And it took real work to get down to all of this. So that's why I would suggest taking this down to the policy committee so that, one, they can go through the process, pulling in, legal counsels, the city staff, however they want to do the research, get these questions finally resolved once and for all, and also to get the Muni code up to date because it's missing huge pieces, and it dates back from 1961. Councilor Stone.
The one constant thing I've heard tonight from everyone is that the city manager belongs on this planning board. That seems to be the populist theme I've heard from everyone.
Or as designee.
Or his designee. But of course, the council member cannot be his designee since the council is not his employee.
So Marlene Jordan, she's got a different name now.
Yeah,
But
that's clear.
she used to sit on the planning board as the designee for the city manager, but then she moved up to Lebanon. And then, when we brought it to the former city manager's attention, that position wasn't,
So they just converted it to a regular civilian or citizen member.
she just kind of stayed. So,
I think the city manager should be on this board
I
either
agree.
way.
Councilor Kier, wait.
Clarify one thing
Okay.
on that one point that you just made. The existing planning board, the way you're doing it now, the mayor has a seat and then an administrative official of the city selected by the mayor. So Marlene was a city staff person selected by the mayor to be on here. So that seat's now vacant. If you go with 1A, then it's the city manager or their designee. So that would be either Ed or whoever he wanted to put on. So it's a slightly different configuration, but that staff member was a mayoral appointment.
But I was told that there had to be a staff person.
Right.
On,
It's a requirement in the current code. If you're using the section
Right.
you're using now, it's a requirement. If you move to the other section, that would change. It would become a manager or designate.
now who had their hand up first? You, Counselor Kier.
So I'm fine with sending this to the policy committee to look at more. The thing I would be more worried about is in the interim, what does our makeup look like? Because right now, it's not between, do we have 1 or 2 people? We have 3 people and an alternate.
Two people.
2 people. and
You
an
have,
alternate.
you're on it. Darlene's on it.
No,
Nick's the alternate.
Counselor Contois isn't on it.
Oh, so this is not correct?
What are you looking
Okay,
at?
never mind, ignore me then. Thank you.
I
That answers
was-
my question.
I was on it, but by virtue of the election, I'm not on it.
Well, okay, I wasn't sure if we'd figured that part out, because I know that was part of this question. Never mind, thank you.
Counselor Stone now?
I'd make a motion to appoint the city manager to seat 7 to the planning board.
Isn't it?
But you can't, until we get these questions resolved. Right now,
Seat 7.
Seat
the
7 is
council
city
isn't
staff
the
member ex officio.
authority, appointing
No, I
authority.
think it's the mayor who is appointing 30.
To say, as of right now, it's a mayoral appointment.
You can't make that motion.
Only the mayor makes the appointments to his board?
According to the RSA.
Yeah.
Right.
But we did it last meeting with the council. So
That's why I should go down to the committee so we can get this all straightened out, because according to the legal opinion we got, we're statutorily fine. Counselor O'Hearn?
Okay, so no prior legislative body can bind the future legislative body. And that means that the 08 council cannot bind us by choosing 1A. I think they may have been misinformed and misinterpreted, but they can't bind us by taking that section of the RSA and saying, okay, we're going to follow that. We have to read it entirely. So just maybe to clear up the whole thing, I would say, I would make a motion to rescind 2008's council choosing that improper 1A and eliminate that and go back to the statute as it is written.
Second.
A motion to rescind 2008, 1A.
it's 1.
It's what they chose
It's
back.
1, it was 1.
One.
1A is the proper one, in my opinion.
Okay, you make motion to rescind 2008.
Council's decision of,
Decision.
and that we follow the RSA as it is written currently.
And that was seconded by Counselor Matto. Discussion? Yes.
Okay. I'm not in favor of bumping this down to the committee level because I think we have we have a legal opinion from NHMA that says that we should be following, and I agree with this, 1A. In 2008, for whatever reason, who knows what the motivation was then to change it, but when Councilor O'Hearn is right, we don't need to be bound by that. So bumping it down to the committee level is just going to, in my opinion, muck it up even more. And I'm concerned about going out now and getting more legal opinions. NHMA has said this is the way the statute is written. It's pretty clear to me that that's the way the statute is written. And I worry that we spend a lot of money at committee levels on legal opinions. I heard, and I don't know if this is true, that the city expended $10,000 on legal opinions for the park holiday decorating policy. And again, I don't know if that's true, it's just a figure that I heard, but that to me is a huge amount of money, and I don't know how much clearer the statute can be. I'm in favor of going back to 1A, and then it doesn't conflict with the other RSA that talks about only having one member of the body on the committee.
So what is your suggestion for updating the ordinance?
The last board did it by a motion of the council. That was how it was changed the last time. Now, the composition of the planning board, I believe, is written in the...
I'm trying to understand what you're saying. What did you just say?
The last time this was changed was by a motion in whatever date it was in 2008 by the council, a vote of the council.
They didn't have a policy committee then.
No, but everything doesn't have to go to the policy committee. Everything doesn't have to go to a committee level. If we can regurgitate what we've got in front of us and make an informed decision based on that, I don't see the need to go down to the policy and start spending money on legal opinions if we all can read something and understand it and agree with it. If we don't,
there's
then yes,
this-
then let's send it to the policy committee, but I don't know how the rest of the board feels.
But I think that's, if you're going to make changes to the Muni Code, then we need to take the time to understand why we're making the changes and what the consequences are of the changes.
I'm perfectly clear on what they are.
Well, I think there's different interpretations of what's Counselor Keir.
I guess I'm having a hard time with this because despite having this in my packet and reading it and hearing from everybody, I'm still confused about it. And I don't feel confident making any kind of a choice on it tonight, especially because it is such a huge thing. This is a change to our Muni Code. Like, we won't even accept paperwork from someone who's giving us a presentation. You want to change the Muni Code without it even being talked about, really? That's crazy to me. Also, in looking at this legal opinion from NHMA, it's clearly states NHMA would defer to the city attorney's opinion, which is different than this, which then also confuses me. So I feel like I'm not at all confident making a decision on this tonight. I think it definitely needs to be addressed, and we need to do it timely, because I'm not sure that it is correct, but I don't feel confident doing this on a whim right now.
Assistant Mayor Dameron, you haven't spoken.
Yes, I find myself in agreement with Councilor Keir. I'm seeing a lot of these legal opinions from NHMA and so forth this evening for the first time. It may be clear to some, I guess it's not yet clear to me. So at the very least, this should not be voted upon for any change this evening. But I hearken us back to strongly held opinions that many councils had regarding the composition of the police commission. We went back and forth and beat that issue up pretty well. Sent it to the policy committee, and the policy committee took their time, came back to us with something that we could all get behind. It was well thought out, well researched. It doesn't necessarily have to be a terribly expensive proposition to go to the policy committee, but I think it's wise to do that and certainly not do it this evening, to take any action on this. If we continue this way, I'll make a motion to table this.
Councilor O'Hearn.
So, I'm not sure exactly, I'm getting a little confused. The motion was to go back to what the New Hampshire RSA states. I didn't ask to change the mini code, or...
You asked to rescind the decision made in 2008 in which it was decided upon that the council would follow 673:2(1).
Correct, of the RSA. Why are we talking about changing the mini code, which is our
Because
city ordinance?
The Muni Code is based on that decision.
Is it in the Muni Code? You said it wasn't in the Muni Code.
The membership isn't.
There's no way they could have changed that mini code without changing the ordinance and sending it for 3 readings. And based on what I got in front of me, it was just a motion and vote. So, again, at this point, we do have a motion on the floor, and I think that it's pretty clear that we just want to go back to the RSA. I'm not talking about changing the mini code. I'm just talking about going back to what the RSA, the legislative intent, and we need to follow it
You have a choice in the RSA.
You can't pick and choose, the top part and say, okay, I'm going to follow this part because it fits.
That's not what I'm saying.
That's what I was given as highlighted. That the council apparently picked this part, the upper part.
Well, this is the RSA, if you want to read it. There's a choice.
It says that.
That's the choice.
It says that you can do I-A, which is below, the below part, not the above part, it says the below. Above is I within, what do you call it there, parentheses or colons. It's a long night. But I think that they were misinformed and, they picked the stuff that they shouldn't have picked. And again, I'm going back, shouldn't be bound by that. And it's in front of us, and we should just follow the RSA as it affects us.
Mr. Mayor Darwin?
I'll make a motion to table this resolution.
Second.
Motion was made, the assistant mayor made the motion to table, and that was seconded by Councilor Kier.
And roll call.
Are we tabling to a specific time?
Until the next meeting.
What do we do with the motion that's already been made?
Tables of.
It tables it. We don't take any action on it.
Oh, that tables it,
We're
okay.
going to be
Any
voting on the
discussion on a
table.
motion to table?
Counselor Ahern?
No.
Counselor Kier?
Yes.
Counselor Sweetser?
Yes.
Assistant Mayor Dameron?
Yes?
Counselor Matto?
No.
Counselor Kowalski?
No.
Counselor Contois?
No.
Counselor Stone?
No.
Mayor Lovett?
Yes.
5-4. I move the question on the table.
You moved the prior motion, is that what you're?
Right.
Okay,
Because that motion to table failed. So now I want to move the
I
table.
didn't hear what you said.
I move the question that's on the table.
Move the question.
And the original motion from Councilor Owen.
Was there a second for that?
Second.
So the motion was made by Councilor Mattow, seconded by Councilor Stone.
Move the question.
Okay,
No, I think-
point of order, I'm a little confused. Why did we have to have a vote on to move the question when there was a motion on the floor that prior to the table? So that failed, so we should go back to the motion and just vote on it.
Right.
Exactly.
There's no discussion.
We're just voting on the motion that I made,
Let's do this.
which doesn't require,
And we go back to the original motion and drop the whole moving the question.
So we withdraw the move the
Yes,
question?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
and roll call, I guess.
Okay, so the motion that is currently on the floor is made by Mr. Ahern to rescind the 2008 council decision and follow the RSA as written currently, and that was seconded by Ms. Mattow.
Correct.
Just for point of clarification, so we know exactly what we're, say, as it's written currently, you want to specify that exact section, which is 673 21A.
Say it again, please.
Colon two.
73:2, 1-A.
That's the one that is currently being followed?
No,
No,
Oh, that's the one.
it just makes sense.
that's it.
Can
That's
you read the motion back that you have, Council?
The way the motion is written is to rescind the 2008 council decision and follow the RSA as written currently. That's what I have. And that was made by Mr. Ahern, seconded by Ms. Mattow.
And I think what Councilor Mattow is saying is to, and follow the RSA.
The part that says
Just-
city manager.
That's where
I
you
would-
put the number in.
I would reference that specific RSA number, just so there's no confusion.
You want that included in the motion?
Yes,
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
yes.
should be.
Madam Mayor?
Yes,
city manager has his opinion.
Mr. Morris?
Not to muddy waters, but just for point of clarification, the members that should be on the planning commission is referenced in the Muni code, so it would entail a Muni code change.
What does it say? Are you looking at it?
Yeah, composition. The planning board shall consist of the following members appointed by the city council, RSA 673-2-1, Claremont City Code. 6 regular members with power to vote. 2 mayor and 1 city councilor serve as ex officio members with the power to vote. 1 city staff member serving as ex officio with power to vote. 4 regular alternate members and 1 city council ex officio alternate.
But that says appointed as, by the city council, and that we're not following that now, right? So,
There we go.
The whole, this is a further, to me, underscores why he should go down to the policy committee. There's so much that needs to be done with this.
I think we're ready for the vote.
Ready for a roll?
Just one question, if I may interject. If this motion passes, 673:21-A states, in C, that 7 persons appointed by the mayor, if the mayor is an elected official or such other method of appointment or election as such as shall be provided for by the local legislative body and municipal charter. If this motion passes, what does that do to the status of the present planning board members?
With all due
Should do-
respect, point of order is that we've moved the question and
Well, you took that back.
no, we don't, if somebody moves the question, and you have done it, Mr. Assistant Mayor, and we just went into the vote. And we didn't have to vote to move the question, we just did it. So,
That's because it was a motion to table.
no, I'm talking about last year when we were on the council, you would say, move the question, and then we would take a vote. So Councilor Matto has moved the question, and we should take the vote. The discussion should end, because it has, like I said, in my last council term, we would have discussion, and you said it, move the question, and then we go into the vote. So has something changed?
Well, listen, I don't recall specifically the detail that you do. I think I would beg to differ, but it's my recollection that the motion to move the question was rescinded. Now, if it wasn't, that's fine.
It
I'll
was.
certainly withdraw.
I made the motion, but I didn't rescind it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think we
Then move
need
the
to do
question.
that to move the question, but if we have to go through a lot of this voting just to...
Okay. Let's move the question
Mr.
then.
Morris?
I was going to say, just per Robert's rules, you can move the question, but it needs to be confirmed by a 2/3 majority vote.
Then I'll second her motion to move the question.
Okay, so we're back to the motion to move the question.
Good grief.
And that was made by Ms. Matto?
Yes.
And the second,
Councilor O'Hearn.
And then you have to do a roll call.
Counselor Ahern,
Yes.
Counselor Kier,
No.
Counselor Sweetser,
Yes.
Sister Mayor Dameron,
No.
Counselor Matto,
Yes.
Counselor Kolowski,
No.
Counselor Contois,
Yes.
Counselor Stone,
No.
Mayor Lovett.
No.
Motion fails.
Failed.
Counselor Kolowski?
I guess to answer the previous question of what happens to the members on there, good question. I think the only members that would officially be there, technically, are the one appointed by the council, you, and the alternate at that point.
That's what I would think as well.
But also looking at, my main concern is somebody challenging a planning board decision not following the proper RSA or the language in it. And if our Muni code even says that those appointments should be from this body, and that hasn't been happening, and it hasn't, we're back to the same exact issue.
Counselor Matto?
I would suggest that since the Muni Code does contain language about this, that if this motion passes, that we give some kind of a window to allow that change to go through the necessary readings, and move on that as quickly as possible. In the meantime, keep the same composition of the board until that has passed.
Counselor Sweetser?
The planning board term is 3 years, so I don't, if the term is 3 years and the mayor is elected every 2 years, I don't see why the whole board would have to change every time a mayor is elected. I would think you'd keep that until they finish out their term.
Those terms are for the people that elected, the other people that are appointed. These people that we're talking about now are there by terms of ex officio, which means they're there by virtue of the fact that they're mayor, or the fact that they're councilman, or the fact that they're city manager, or the designee. So they don't fall within that 3-year term.
But the other
It
ones
goes with their
stay.
job. So if their job ends or they don't get reelected, it stops and the next person goes in.
Counselor Ahern?
The only thing I would say is that the Muni Code, I guess you could correct me if I'm wrong, cannot go against what the state law is. It can be more stringent than the state law, but it cannot be in conflict of the state law. So,
And so what the Muni Code says for planning board is there is hereby created under the authority granted by RSA 673:1, which is what has been outlined, a planning board for the city which will be designated as the city planning board. And that was written in 1961.
On our website, it's dated March 12th, 2018, and it says the complete opposite of that. It says RSA 673-2, not 1.
Well, I'm telling you, this Muni Code is so out of date, and this is what happens when they're not updated every 5 years. Counselor Kolaski?
Whatever decision we rendered tonight, I don't really like sending or delaying this anymore, or sending it down to be reviewed, because, and I still do have the lingering question though, and I think if we're going to get legal opinion, it would come from this body, and not moving it down the road to then have the policy committee reach out for the same legal opinion.
I'm not saying that.
But I'm still very concerned that there's another municipal. We can attorney shop and get as many opinions as you want, but I don't think that the city's legal opinion took into account that our charter and what we got back, talking about how for the purposes of the City of Claremont charter, the mayor is a council member on that board.
I don't know. I can't.
I don't either.
I can't get in people's brains. Mr. Morris?
I was just talking with Director Merrill, and I don't believe we have any site plan reviews in the very near future. So if we want to move forward with this vote, and then this vote would dictate how we work on changing the Muni Code so it's officially done right prior to the next site plan review. We'll have to move through this fairly quickly, but I think if we do this over the next 2 meetings, then we will be sitting in a really good spot to move forward.
Okay.
Counselor Switzer?
Okay, maybe I've lost a little bit in this, but when I'm looking at the 2018 makeup of the planning board, it sounds like it's exactly what everybody wants.
What are you
looking
reading?
at?
I'm on, like, our website, and it says, and this is 2018, it says 6 regular members, the mayor plus 1 city councilor, so 2.
That's 673 to
2, yeah.
1.
And 1 city staff member serving as ex officio, 4 regular alternate members. It seems like we're all arguing over what's actually there.
No.
No,
No?
no, they
There's a whole
want,
section.
they want, this, it says here, in cities, the planning board shall consist of the following 9 members. That's what you just read.
Yeah.
And it says, alternatively, the local legislative body in a city with a city council, city manager form of government may, which is what Mr. Morris is trying to say, may establish a planning board with membership as provided in paragraph 1A. And then it outlines what that membership is. And it differs from what you're reading, which is, this one says the city manager, or with the approval of the local legislative body, the city manager's designee, a member of the city council selected by the council who shall be an ex officio member, and 7 persons appointed by the mayor if the mayor is an elected official or such other method of appointment or election as shall be provided for by the local legislative body or municipal charter. So we're all discussing whether do we stay with what we've been doing, which is reflected in the minutes of 2008, I think, or do we switch? And people on the council have various opinions about that. My concern is whatever the decision is made, the work still has to be done to have it reflected in the Muni Code, which means it should go down to the policy committee, because whenever you make changes to the Muni Code, it shouldn't be done without a lot of consideration. Why are you making the change, and what do you hope to gain from it, or not gain from it? Whether I sit on the planning board or not is irrelevant to me. It would mean 1 extra free night. I don't care at this point. My concern is what is best for the city. The focus seems to be on mayor, but that's not everything. This is also about the makeup of the other members. Do you want 6 residents or 7 residents? Do you want an administrative official of the cities selected by the mayor, or do you want an ex officio member? It's not just, it's a conversation that seems to be centered around the mayor. It shouldn't be that. The conversation should be, what is the best composition for the city, and why? And if you can't answer those questions, then we shouldn't be making a decision like this at a council level without some research done and consideration, I think, from a committee level. It's worked well in the past, but Councilor Kier.
I would almost like this to go and get some more information from city employees. I mean, in reading this, 1A comes first. You read it as, in cities, the planning board shall consist of this. B, alternatively, which means another option is the legislative body, blah, 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 may do this. So it gives you 2 options, and that's how I'm reading it. I think I understand where people's thoughts are on it, and I do think that we should look at this and say, does this make the most sense for us? But and clearly our Muni Code doesn't even match what we're saying here, which is a problem. We've got different things on the internet versus our actual one here.
The Muni Code and what's on the website match.
Okay. Sorry.
That matches.
Um,
It doesn't match with the alternative composition.
Okay. But I just feel like there's just so much going on with so many different legal opinions that I would like to have a clear, concise outline of what the options are, why ones would be better than the others. I feel like I cannot make an informed decision on this.
Councilor Mehta.
I think that the statute is crystal clear. And it says, in cities with a city council, city manager form of government, and then it goes on to state what it should be. NHMA attorney agreed with that. If Claremont falls under this category, it would appear that 9 members of the board should consist of city manager, member of the city council, and 7 persons filling other slots. Further, 673(7) says only 1 member may be a city councilor. So we're not even talking about that section. The outline of 673(2)(1)A is quite clear. The city manager, or somebody that he designates, a member of the city council, and then 7 persons appointed by the mayor. That's what the statute says, and I I don't know why we need to keep beating this dead horse, but
Counselor Kolowski?
The only concern I have, regardless of what we do here tonight, is we still have the same issue with the planning board members that are appointed now are not legally standing members appointed properly. So we still will have to address that immediately and quickly. So I don't know what the answer is, but
Director Merrill said that we could, there's nothing pending
Yes.
that would be urgent, that we could not do this in the meantime and adjust the muni code changes.
and I just want to, for me, this is just cleaning this up. I'm not targeting something at the mayor, so I hope you don't feel that, at least from this direction. I just want to tell you that, I mean, you could be, like, I fall back on the legal opinion that I got from New Hampshire, from the planning office, from New Hampshire Municipal, that designates you as the council member. So I don't care if you sit on there as the council member and Alan doesn't, or whatever it gets. But house cleaning somehow.
I agree with house cleaning.
Well, the major concern to me is the current seated members are not valid members.
Counselor Stone, and then we'll go to Mr. Morris.
I'd like to make a motion to reconsider Councilor O'Hearn's motion.
Can we
haven't
reconsider it? We
voted
have
on
to
it.
vote on it before we can reconsider it.
No.
No.
Mr. Morris?
I'm getting beat down here on the corner.
You can reconsider the
Mr. Mo-
motion that,
No, I was just going to clarify with Mr. Kolowski's. I think or Councilor Kolowski's point, the only thing that may have been done slightly wrong is according to the RSA 1 that was voted on and that is in our current Muni Code. The Muni Code says the council appoints them. The RSA says the mayor does.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we wanted to have the mayor come in and appoint the same members that the council did last time, we'd have legally seated members as well. I think going off the Muni Code and how we've done it for years with the council appointing them, then we are fine.
Counselor O'Hearn?
I would disagree with that remark.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't
That the legislative body, being the council, is us, and that we appoint people to boards and committees. So if you're going to say that the mayor, I would.
Is that what 673.1 says? Because that's what
It
we're.
would say that it, what is it? Method of appointment or of election shall be provided by the local legislative body or the municipal charter.
What RSA is that?
No, I'm just talking about the.
Is that 1A or 1?
C, I'm talking about
But 1A says
Oh.
a member of the, or 6 persons appointed by the mayor, if the mayor is an elected official, or the
673:2.
Yeah, but the rest of that sentence is, or this body. That's a decision we would have to make again
Right.
after.
Right.
And
Okay.
if the mayor's
You're right,
appointing,
you're right.
or if the
Yep.
body is,
Right, you're right,
that's a
right.
separate question.
If you
Yeah.
change it.
But that's what Lebanon does. That's why I think it's correct.
Okay.
So, this is a long conversation, we have plenty more to do, and so the motion was on the floor, it was seconded, and I don't think we voted.
I don't have a vote.
It's back to the original.
Motion that I have, I believe,
Counselor
is
Ernst.
to rescind the 2008 council decision and follow RSA 673:2 1-A as written currently. And that was seconded by Ms. Mattow. Everybody agree that's the motion we're
Yep.
voting on?
That's
The
it.
motion.
Right. Are we ready for a roll?
Yes, we are.
Counselor Hearn.
Yes.
Counselor Kier.
No.
Counselor Sweetser.
Yes.
Sister Mayor Dameron.
No.
Counselor Mattow.
Yes.
Counselor Kolowski.
Yes.
Counselor Contois.
Yes.
Counselor Stone.
Yes.
Mayor Lovett.
No. So, now we know.
All right, question?
Yes, Counselor Kolowski.
That being done,
Yep,
now we make the decision on who's appointing.
we should.
Yes.
We
that's a good
should.
idea.
I asked that with a big question mark at the end.
Yep.
I guess I would recommend that just as they, and I've seen both happen here. I've seen them come to us as what I thought was a courtesy, but I guess there's no harm in having the application come to the council like we do the rest of them in the packet. That's fair, I guess, right?
Yes.
Yes.
It's been, I mean.
It's been the practice, well, a couple times I don't think it has. I don't know that it's intentional, but there are a few that we never saw.
So what is your suggestion?
Is that the council would make those appointments. They would
Okay.
come into our
That's
packet.
what I thought you meant, but I
I think,
wasn't
I think Mr. Contois was one. They never came to the council. That was an alternate appointment. I think Mr. Gerard, too, was one that we never saw. So sometimes it's happened, sometimes
well,
it hasn't.
The way it was going, you know, if I never turned down an application for the
Yeah.
planning board, let's just put it that way. So,
I'll second that motion, if that was a motion.
I don't know if it was there was no motion.
It was a motion.
Yeah, I'll make that a motion.
What's your motion?
That the planning board appointments would be appointed by the Claremont City Council.
Second.
And so that motion was made by Councilor Kolowski and seconded by Councilor Mattel.
Can I ask for a clarification on that? Are you asking that all future applications go through the city council, or that this whole board is now wiped clean and we start over with applications?
I think
No, the council makes the appointments.
So then the board is wiped clean?
No.
Even people that were elected 9 months ago? That's what I'm asking. Or is it in the future, all applications will go through city
So
council?
you better clarify that. Councilor Kolowski?
So, I guess from my standpoint, and I said before, I think the only ones that are valid are the assistant mayor
Yeah.
and my alternate seat at this point, because that was made from the council. And that, separate of any, whatever RSA you went through, that is how that works. So I think those are the only ones. I think the other ones, it is wiped clean. And they aren't elected, they were appointed.
Appointed,
But,
yeah.
And then that gives, Nancy spoke to that, but that gives them time. I don't think it's a major deal to reach out to those folks, have applications come in, and then we act upon it.
Councilor Ahern?
Or maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that we changed and decided from this point on, we're going to go to this decision. I don't think we retroactively clean the board of all the people that were appointed, unless it's in conflict. Unless it's in conflict with the statute.
Well, I would suggest, because of this is a quasi-judicial board, we better check with legal counsel. I would, just to make, because you don't want to run the risk of having things come before the planning board, and now that we've made these changes to the planning board membership, that somehow the decisions made at the planning board are now subject to scrutiny. Mr. Morris had his hand up.
I would agree with Councilor Ahern. I don't think that wipes it clean right now. I do
But
think
we're
it
all
would.
thinking.
I think it would clean things up, and I could check with legal counsel if we want to, but I think it would clean things up to bring those applications back and just make the appointment at the next meeting. But I think for right now, if they have a meeting next week, that we can still seat those people. They're already seated members of the Planning Commission.
Councilor Ahern?
I've been, well, I'm just trying to put this politely, but and it's late, but I've sat enough down in Concord and here to basically understand procedures, and again, you don't wipe, it's not going to be wiped clean. You don't go retroactive unless we made that a motion part of that. Everybody prior that was appointed gets eliminated. It starts from this point on and goes forward, unless it's in conflict with the appointments that are on here. And I don't think that every time we have to go to legal counsel to get a legal opinion, because we can go to as many attorneys as we want to get an opinion that probably will be in conflict with the prior person, and it's a waste of money. we are the legislative body, we make decisions, and we go forward from that. We don't always have to go get an attorney's opinion.
I'm not saying always, but we have this legislative body, I'm not talking about this particular council, has made some serious mistakes in the past that have cost this community money. And every entity is subject to making a bad decision. It can happen. And we can all think about what we know is the best thing to do, but when you're dealing with quasi-judicial entities' decisions and you have very serious things coming before, and there are huge consequences if it's not done correct, what is the harm of having the city manager go to legal counsel, said, this is what happened at the city council last night. Do we have a problem if we do whatever the council wants to have done? Councilor Keir?
I would say probably the easiest way to move forward on this without having to utilize legal counsel is just have the people resubmit their applications and we go through the motions of reappointing them, because it just covers our butt. We don't have to get legal counsel, and we're doing it just in case we need to do it because it is semi-judicial, and we want to make sure we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's. I don't think there's a lot of effort that would have to go into that, and it would cover our butts just in case.
And that's fine.
You've got a bunch of people over there.
Councilor Stone.
I would say that the current members were appointed by the governing body and should be standing in their positions.
They were appointed by the mayor.
They were all appointed by the mayor?
Yes.
Okay, then I retract that.
Councilor Kowalski?
We just went through this, and in my mind, to clean it up more, I think Councilor Keir's correct. They come before us, we act upon it. I don't think we need to expend legal funds. It's all in the question that is going to be asked of legal, but I think mainly in my mind, what we're trying to clean up, and if you want to have something legally challenged, it would be the fact of how the people are appointed. So I really think the only standing seats are the ones that were done, because that's the way it reads in the Muni Code. The other part of the Muni Code, we didn't follow. So I think it's a clean slate. They come to us, we act upon it.
Councilor Mando?
I got two things. One is I think that we make it even simpler and I don't even ask them to fill out the applications. We take the current slate, and when their terms expire, and we just, unless somebody objects, we just make a motion at our next meeting to reappoint the people as they sit in their terms now.
I think you could do it now.
And we could even do it now. And the other thing is, with
not
Nick's, with Councilor Kowalski's alternate seat, I think the only person that he can sit is for Alan.
Yep.
Oh, you want, okay.
Yes.
Because if you sit for another member
Nope.
and Alan's
So
there.
it would only be the alternate
We
seat.
would have two people, okay. So, good. We're all on the same page.
Sister Miriam?
Yeah, I think I find myself in agreement, although it's late and I'm old. I think I find myself in agreement that, first of all, we need to take some action on who's doing the appointing. I think that's still an open question, whether it's the council or the mayor. Let's take a vote on that, get through that, then decide how we deal, for safety's sake, whether we have to or not, but for safety's sake, how are we going to deal with the other members of the planning board, in which forum and when? And I think we can cut through whatever it is. Now that we've taken a vote to go this way, I think now we need to clean it
Did
up.
we vote on Nick's motion?
Not yet.
City Councilor Merrill.
City Councilor.
Director Merrill?
Couldn't you just confirm all the prior appointments?
Yes.
Good, that's what we're going to.
Sure.
Yeah, we
think
could
that's
do
the
that
next-
tonight.
that's
They
the
stay in their
next step.
seats, they stay in the same timelines, it's just a confirmation of the appointment.
Yep, I agree.
All I'm saying is you got to take some affirmative action,
To see
whether
who
it's an
appoints.
application or an affirmation here, how it is that we want to do it, decide who's going to do the appointment, and then this council needs to take some action, and we can do it this evening.
Yep.
I agree with the mayor, this is quasi-judicial, and we need to be very, very
You're-
clear.
You're right.
So we have a motion on the floor. Counselor Sweetser.
Sorry, I think I was moving on already. Reading how you appoint people, either by the mayor or as shall be provided by the local legislative body. So are we going to figure that out?
That's
That's what the motion is on the
the
floor right
motion.
now.
I
That's
made a
the
motion that it's the council that makes the appointments.
Yeah.
Just a local legislative body.
The motion on the floor is that the planning board appointments be made by the city council. Made by Mr. Kolosky, seconded by Ms. Mattow.
So we need to vote.
Voice or roll?
Roll.
Roll.
With a voice.
Make it clear.
Counselor Ahern?
Yes.
Counselor Kier?
Yes.
Counselor Sweetser?
Yes.
Assistant Mayor Dameron?
No.
Counselor Mattow?
Yes.
Counselor Kolosky?
Yes.
Counselor Contois?
Yes.
Counselor Stone?
Yes.
Mayor Lovett?
No. And then the next, you want to affirm those appointments now?
Make a motion to reaffirm the current appointments to the planning board.
Second.
So that motion was, well, wait a minute. Can you go down to residents? Because the other part of this is the city manager, or with the approval of the local legislative body, the city manager's designee is also one member. And we haven't had that discussion yet. So I don't know if the city manager wants to sit on the board, or if he doesn't,
Well, we don't have one now, and I can make that appointment. It doesn't have to be at a
Yeah,
council
I
meeting.
think
He can designate.
he can fill in the blank.
the city manager, or with the approval of the local legislative body.
So let me,
You're correct.
So I don't understand.
So it has to be him. He can't designate unless we approve him to designate. Is that correct?
That's right.
so
Okay.
in my reappointing all of the current seated members of the planning board, I would add that the city manager may seat or designate an individual.
Second.
And
All
I
right,
don't,
wait a minute.
Yeah.
What did
You got to
just
back it
say?
up. What is your motion to start with? Motion to reaffirm the current
seated planning board members.
seated planning board members. Okay.
Let's just vote on that.
I was gonna ask, is it appropriate, I'm trying to bring it up, but to actually read in the names?
It would be appropriate.
Right.
I'm sorry, the city website's not cooperative. You
Nancy
do?
has the list.
I have them right here.
Oh, I have it. Sorry, Nancy. So, Dore, you ready?
Seated planning board members, yes?
So, seat number 1, Dale Gerard. Seat number 2, Marlene Boisclair. Seat number 3, David
job.
Putnam. Seat number 4, Richard Warlick. Seat number 5, Bruce Kalenda. Seat number 6,
Wait a minute.
Yep, sorry.
6.
David Pichetti. Seat number 9, Alan Dameron. Seat number A2, William Greenrose.
Wait a minute. You jumped from 6
Because
to
they're
9.
they're
and then-
vacant. They're vacant seats.
Oh, I'm sorry. So after 9 was what?
A2,
Oh, 8.
William Greenrose.
Well, how many, there are vacant seats that are not alternates?
Yeah,
One.
Yeah.
Seat 7.
yeah, seat 7.
Okay.
Did I name Alan?
Yes.
So seat A5, city councilor alternate, which is me.
So you're just going to vote on that and then save the next part for the city manager may do something?
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I don't believe that we need to include the seat, Alan Dameron or my seat, because those were already approved by statute. So we don't need to reaffirm
Well,
those in this
no,
motion.
no. It's a member of the city council selected by the council. It's not, so
Wouldn't
you
hurt.
have to, the council has to make that appointment.
But that was already made, is what I'm saying.
But that's under
Not
our
by-
old, that was under our
Not
old
in-
structure.
Under the structure.
I was just gonna say, it wouldn't hurt. Just
It
leave
wouldn't
it.
hurt, I agree.
Okay, so
Might as
it
well
would
cross
stay
all
as
of our
I,
eyes.
stay as I read.
And was there a second?
No.
I'll second.
So you made the motion, Counselor Kolowski made the motion, Counselor Mattow seconded it. Assistant Mayor Dameron?
Yes, and it wouldn't be appropriate perhaps for this particular motion, but certainly over the next few days, I would step back from my seat. I think Jim Contois had originally wanted to be on the planning board, and there became a little tussle there with how many council members are on the planning board, so on and so forth. So I think I'd step back and urge everyone to appoint Jim Contois to that seat. Providing he still wants it.
Look at this look on his face.
Am I supposed to speak? I accept.
Well, let's vote on this motion first.
Well, it has to be revised then, because you've included Alan.
Can I?
Oh,
She's had her head up for a while.
Counselor Sweetser.
Is Marlene Boisclair the one that you mentioned earlier that
No,
moved to Lebanon?
she's a current
She,
seated.
her
regular
job
member.
moved. She
Okay,
moved
but she
in her
still
job.
lives here? Okay.
that's why I got confused.
Yep.
Then she got married and changed her name.
Okay.
Counselor O'Hearn.
I just don't want to make things confusing. I think that we should just go what currently the motion is, and if Assistant Mayor Dameron wants to step down, let's do that at the next meeting and, give time. We're just getting too much, I think we're getting into the weeds way too far and making so many things.
Okay, we've got the motion. Is there a second?
I seconded it.
Deb.
Okay, so the motion was made by Counselor Klausi, seconded by Counselor Mattow. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Now the council has to, Mr. Morris, are you going to be sitting on the planning board?
Probably.
I think it would be a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah, let me look at it, and if not, I'll bring it back to you at another
Okay,
time.
all right. So as of now, you are a member of the planning board. And if you change your mind, then we'll have to make that motion. All right.
Do we need to motion that?
No, because it's in the statute that way.
Unless,
No,
Okay.
nope, that's fine.
move it on.
All right.
Run, Nancy.
I'm sorry.
This is why things should,
Can I just read
yes,
the resolution?
yes, please.
Resolution 2020-15 approves proceeds from First Night button sales. Be it resolved by the Claremont